Imagine waking up every morning knowing that stepping outside your front door could be the last thing you ever do. Imagine sending your child to fetch water and wondering if a sniper's bullet would find them before they returned. Imagine living without electricity, without food, without safety. Not for days, not for weeks, but for nearly 4 years. This was Sarajevo, a beautiful European city transformed into a killing ground. For 1,425 days, men, women, and children lived under constant shelling, hunted by snipers perched in the surrounding hills. Yet somehow, against all odds, they survived. This is the story of the longest siege in modern history, and the city that refused to die. Before we begin, subscribe to Real Story Network and join us as we uncover one of the most heartbreaking and inspiring stories of human endurance ever recorded. Before the war, Sarajevo was known as the Jerusalem of Europe. Mosques, churches, and synagogues stood side by side. Muslims, Serbs, Croats, and Jews lived together. They worked together, celebrated together, and raised families together. The city had hosted the Winter Olympics in 1984. Visitors from around the world admired its beauty and multicultural spirit. Few could imagine that within a decade, those same streets would become battlefields. But beyond Sarajevo, a storm was gathering. The nation of Yugoslavia was falling apart. Ethnic tensions that had been suppressed for decades began to explode. Nationalist leaders rose to power. Old grievances resurfaced. And soon, neighbors would find themselves on opposite sides of a deadly conflict. As Bosnia and Herzegovina moved toward independence in 1992, many feared violence was coming. They were right. Very right. On April 5, 1992, thousands of people gathered in Sarajevo. They carried peace banners. They demanded an end to hatred. Many believed reason would prevail. Then the shooting started. Snipers opened fire into the crowd. Panic spread instantly. People screamed and ran for cover. Several demonstrators were killed. For many citizens, this was the moment they realized their lives had changed forever. Within days, Bosnian Serb forces surrounded the city. Artillery batteries occupied the mountains overlooking Sarajevo. Tanks blocked roads. The siege had begun. The people inside expected help. Perhaps the fighting would last a few weeks, maybe a month. Instead, they would remain trapped for nearly 4 years. The city was now a prison, and the walls of that prison were made of guns. Sarajevo sat in a valley. The surrounding mountains offered breathtaking views. But during the siege, those mountains became platforms of death. Thousands of artillery pieces were positioned around the city. Every day, shells rained down. Schools, markets, hospitals, apartment buildings. Nothing was safe. Citizens learned to distinguish different types of incoming shells by sound alone. Parents taught children how to dive to the ground when they heard explosions. Some days brought hundreds of shells. Other days brought thousands. The bombardment became so relentless that many residents stopped reacting. The explosions became part of daily life, an endless soundtrack of fear. But shelling was only one threat. The snipers were waiting. One road became infamous around the world. Its nickname was Chilling, Sniper Alley. The avenue connected key parts of the city. To cross it was to gamble with your life. Hidden marksmen watched from distant buildings and mountain positions. Their targets were not soldiers. They were civilians. Women carrying groceries. Children walking to school. Elderly men searching for food. Anyone moving in the open could become a target. People sprinted between buildings. They hid behind burned-out cars. Some carried sheets of metal as makeshift shields. Others waited for darkness. Still, many never made it. The sound of a single rifle shot often meant another family would receive devastating news. The city learned to live in constant fear, a fear that could strike from hundreds of meters away. The siege cut off electricity. Water supplies collapsed. Food became scarce. Winter was especially cruel. Families burned furniture to stay warm. Books disappeared into fireplaces. Wooden floors were ripped apart. Anything that could burn became fuel. Water became precious. Citizens risked sniper fire just to fill containers at public wells. Food lines stretched for hours. Aid deliveries were unpredictable. Children grew thin. The elderly suffered. Many families survived on a single meal a day. Yet despite everything, life continued. People adapted. Human beings have an extraordinary ability to endure, and Sarajevo would prove just how strong that ability could be. Perhaps the greatest tragedy was what happened to the children. An entire generation grew up knowing only war. Playgrounds became graveyards. Schools were damaged or destroyed. Many classes moved underground. Students studied by candlelight. They learned mathematics while artillery exploded above their heads. Birthdays were celebrated in basements. Children drew pictures of tanks and explosions because that was the world they knew. Some became remarkably resilient. Others carried emotional scars that would last a lifetime. Many lost parents. Many lost friends. And thousands would never reach adulthood. The siege stole years that could never be returned. Even the search for food could become a death sentence. One of the most horrifying moments occurred at Sarajevo's crowded marketplaces. People gathered hoping to buy bread, vegetables, or whatever food remained available. Then artillery shells struck. Bodies lay scattered among shattered stalls. The scenes were devastating. The world watched the images on television. Families searching for loved ones. Medical workers overwhelmed. Blood staining the streets. The massacres shocked international audiences. But for the people of Sarajevo, they were another painful reminder that nowhere was safe, not even a marketplace. As conditions worsened, a daring plan emerged. If the city could not break the siege from above, perhaps it could do so from below. Workers secretly dug a tunnel beneath the airport. The project was dangerous. The conditions were terrible. Yet they continued. When completed, the tunnel became Sarajevo's lifeline. Food entered the city. Medicine entered the city. Weapons entered the city. People crossed through the narrow passage carrying supplies on their backs. Many called it the Tunnel of Hope. Without it, Sarajevo might not have survived. The tunnel became a symbol of resistance, proof that even under unimaginable pressure, people would not surrender. One of the most remarkable aspects of the siege was not the destruction, it was the determination. Artists continued performing, musicians held concerts, writers kept writing, athletes kept training, people got married, children laughed, life persisted. In defiance of the guns surrounding them, the citizens of Sarajevo fought to preserve their humanity. Every concert was an act of resistance. Every school lesson was an act of resistance. Every family dinner was an act of resistance. The enemy could destroy buildings, but destroying the spirit of the city proved far more difficult. As the years passed, international pressure increased. Peacekeepers arrived. Diplomatic efforts intensified. World leaders debated how to end the conflict. Many residents felt abandoned. They wondered why help had taken so long. But by 1995, the situation began to change. Military and diplomatic developments shifted the balance. Negotiations accelerated. The guns that had dominated Sarajevo for years were finally beginning to fall silent. Hope, long buried beneath fear and grief, started to return. In February 1996, after 1,425 days, the siege officially ended. The statistics were staggering. Thousands of civilians had been killed. Thousands more had been wounded. Entire neighborhoods lay in ruins. Countless families were shattered forever. Yet Sarajevo still stood. Scarred, broken, grieving, but alive. The city that many believed would fall had survived. Its people emerged from basements and shelters into a world forever changed. The nightmare was over. But the memories would remain. The Siege of Sarajevo was more than a military conflict. It was a test of human endurance. For nearly 4 years, ordinary people faced hunger, cold, shelling, snipers, and loss. Yet they refused to surrender their humanity. Their story reminds us that courage is not always found on battlefields. Sometimes courage is a mother finding food for her children, a teacher holding class underground, a musician playing while shells fall outside, a city refusing to give up. If this story moved you, please subscribe to Real Story Network, like this video, and share it with someone who believes history should never be forgotten.